What is going on, guys? It's Childish, bringing you back the final installment of this four-part series. I thought it was going to be three, but now it's four. So, this one is hopefully going to summarize what we learned and kind of put it into perspective with the units that I got. And I'll kind of show you what I have available and what I could do and how I can mix things up. So, first and foremost, let's go ahead and recap on what I talk about in the first part of the series. The goal is to provide you information with regards to arena team building, and the ultimate goal in mind is to create synergy with your team, utilizing a leader that provides a skill that will benefit 3 or more units on your team, preferably 4. Will provide you with the extra advantage of taking down particular teams in general, not cherry picking teams, but overall teams to do that. And the categories of leader skills are going to be hit point based category. You got your speed based category. You got your control based category, and then you got your defensive based category, which is basically resistance based leaders. So in addition to that, we have attack-based leaders as well as defense-based leaders. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my units, what I got here, and what has worked for me in the past, what has worked for me now, and what I kind of do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with my arena team. My arena team is a mixture of about 4 to 6 different units. I would say the top 6 units are going to be these 4, as well as Jameer, Hua, and what is it? These 3, and in addition to those 3 units as well. So on the offense, depending on if the leader is running a speed leader, I will, if it's not running a speed leader, I will generally take Megan and take my 3 other 6-star units. Why do I take these particular units? Well, it will depend on the defensive makeup of them, and I'll match my elements for their elements, making sure I have the elemental advantage for extra damage. But generally speaking, I have wind and water generally covered. Wind is going to be strong against wind and water. And then I got the fire unit. If I need to mix up, I'll go ahead and mix up. But generally speaking, this kind of makes up for the majority of my attacks. Why is that the case? They're, my top units that are ruined, the best. So I try to take them out. Because the opponent is not using a speed leader, I will utilize my Megan, who is built on speed. Her buff will provide an attack gauge increase that allows all my turns to get the first chance. Generally speaking, my strategy is leads off with Megan. We'll go second with Roke. Roke, we will team up with one of the other 3 units, preferably Ardella. I will team up against a fire or water-based unit. A wind or water-based unit. Generally wind. Because both Rogue and Ardella got good damage, so they can generally one shot a wind or water based unit, and they're just my best single target damage dealer. So I try to go for that. I have Lucian in there because his AoE attack is generally good. That being said, I don't think he is really he's not the the best units to kind of throw in there for this type of setup. My other 2 units are based off of single target attack damage and really strong single target attack damage. So sometimes providing Hoa in there for a little bit more fire based damage and more single target damage can provide can be strength in this situation. But I do like to use Lucian there because for some weird reason, with him having over 160 critical damage, even though he might not be, provide some synergy with regards to single target damage, he can essentially just take away 75 to 80% of the damage, if not one shot him if he gets all critical hits. So definitely a nice little category to go in there. If I run into a team that has a speed leader, I will take him out, take her out, and put in the leader, my speed leader, to match speed for speed, and then I will utilize the enhanced buff of Megan in addition to his speed to hopefully give me the attack and kind of do the same thing as before, where I team up with Ardella and then one shot a wind or water based unit to get the 4v3 or 4v2 edge and just work my way down. If I can take out one or two units at the start of the match, I really have no issues finishing out the match because it's just such a use advantage. All right, and generally speaking, that is my arena offense. Lately, you guys have seen me in videos playing around with Arya, who's my light succubus. She provides control, which is really beneficial because she is a light unit, which is neutral against all other, opponents, with the exception of dark, which is strong against. So it's definitely a great unit to have because she won't have any decreased chances of landing certain effects due to a elemental weakness. She is neutral all the way across the board. So very, very nice to have. Very, very cool to throw it in. I've been mixing and matching her a little bit, but those are my top 7 units and the ones that I generally use for arena offense. My particular setup is basically, either Megan, the buffer, plus 3, single target, damage dealers, whatever, or the speed leader, the buffer, and then, Ardella and Rogue, 2 single target units. I see the meta being a speed leader plus a buffer and then 2 AoE based units, but the single target units have worked for me. Again, I didn't have a lot of AoE units, before I got Lucian just recently. So I kind of relied on, the emphasize of single target damage. And because Rogue has a team up attack and has the 33% chance to utilize Della, I can really get lucky and knock out one shot 2 units before they even get an opportunity to attack. So even though I don't have a perfect synergy with all 4 units, 3 out of the 4 units work really, really well. And I normally can best my way through the teams that I play. And then if I need, heals or whatnot, I'll put in, Neo to provide invincibility as well as heals. Otherwise, we can always throw in Amon as well. They don't get utilized as much. As I said before, I'm very childish in my way of playing. I'm very, very aggressive. I'm not a big fan of using a healer in my fights. Way back in the day, I used to throw in Rena in there, wherever she's at, to provide some kind of heals. But I just found that she, when it came down to, Rena and somebody else, she would not be able to last, even though her skill is nice. Do I still use Rena? Yes. I will utilize her on a team that has only wind and water based units. That will allow me to have those units focus on Rena and basically try to take out her mana shield while I provide wind based units to take out their wind and water based units. So you will see me do a lot of teams that are similar to this in nature or this in nature if I have a heavy wind or water based team I'm going against, because with the lead on Megan, given those two the attacks and then the reset from Jameer, that can turn out to be a really strong team against wind and water. Okay, let's talk arena defense a little bit. Because I'll go ahead and just kind of point out a couple of things that I mentioned in the first video. I stated that you want synergy with your team. Okay, so what that means is if you're using an all-out defensive team or an all-out attack team, make sure that is easily noted by the team setup you got going. Okay, I see a lot of people do a setup like this. Whoops, I'm going too far. We got 2 healers and there's Ramago. So you got yourself 3 defensive units, but then you're using Megan as a leader, and you're like, well, why should I use, why are you using Megan? They're like, well, she has a leader skill that increases attack power of arena, by 21%, so I got to use her. Well, what's the point of trying to increase your attack power by 21% when you got 2 units that don't do hardly any damage, and then 1 unit that has a nice attack damage that's based off of his hit points and not even the attack power that is added by buffs or leader skills or whatever. It's just basically hit point for hit point, his clean shot attack. All right. So if you see a team like this, they are wrong. All right. They're just utilizing units that they got just to kind of throw in there, but there is no 100% synergy here. You have 3 defensive units with 1 attack support unit. This is not going to last. You need a full-blown defensive unit to go with this particular spec. If you were trying to outlast the opponent, I'd probably, throw in another hit point one. Like here, we got increases the hit points of monsters by 33%. So this has synergy. Why is that? I'll go ahead and explain it to you. 33% hit points in Amon increases his group heal. 33% hit points of for Rena increases her chance or her mana shield, because her mana shield is based off 50% of her max HP. Then you got Ramogos, whose hit points are based off of his clean shot is based off of his max hit points. Okay, and I think his attack is based off his max hit points as well. So this right here is good synergy. Will it last? I don't know, because again, this is just kind of trying to hold out and let your towers kill them down. These do not have a lot of damage, and I got a little weak spot in the with the succubus not having as many hit points as these all, so this can probably get dwindled down pretty quickly. But I wouldn't be surprised if I won more arena defenses with this versus other setups that I have. Okay. Let's see. What else? What are the kind of mistakes that we make? Okay, so here's another mistake that we make. You'll have somebody go like this, and then they'll go like that, and they're like, "Well, why do you got that set up, right? What's the point with that?" And they're like, "Well, look, I got attack power by 33%. You got to take a look at your skills and take a look at the blue skills down below here. Notice that in the top right corner they have an A or a D, which signifies what type of skill does it provide to which area, dungeons or arena, or to elements or whatever the case may be. Okay, this is not good, because this leader skill does not provide anything to this team. You will see at least one time in a week or more, 2 or 3 times in a week, you will see somebody utilize a dungeon-based leader in an arena team. It does not work. Stop doing it. Tell your friends that are doing it to stop doing it. It's no good, okay? It's no good. All right, let's go ahead and go with another team. Next up, we got the infamous Elemental team. All right, so this guy increases attack power by 40%. So this team must be awesome, because they're all water units. Okay? Well, take a look at this, boss. You got 3 support-based units with a water-based leader skill. But it doesn't matter, Childish. They're all water. Yes, it does matter, because these guys don't do shit for damage. All right? So, again, in addition to not doing crap for damage, these guys are, this is what you call a mono element team. While it may look cute on paper, you are going to get spanked by every AoE based or single target based win unit that there is out there, because people have the opportunity to change their team, whereas you don't. So you have to set up your team to be the most optimal setup for any team that can come at you, regardless of what you're trying to do. Okay? Let's see what other teams do I see people set up with. I don't really have a lot of units to showcase. We hit the mono element. We hit the mixed teams. Let's see. I don't know if I can showcase any others. But I will say this. I guess what I'll go ahead and do is kind of showcase what I'm thinking of for the future. And if you saw it beforehand, you saw me with, I think it was this team. Yes? Was it that team? Okay, so this team maybe has a 20% win rate, not really too high, but they are not spec the way I wanted to spec. Even though you saw them in my defense, I'm not really concerned about trying to optimize my defense setup right now, because I know that they're the team is my runes are not set up the way I want to. So this team is eventually gonna be, basically you're gonna have a mixture of despair and you're gonna have a mixture of violent. I'm gonna have 2 violent units, and then I'm gonna have 2 speed-based, despair-based units. Okay, so the obviously the violent units are gonna be Roke on the right as well as Jameer on the left. Okay, so their goal is to be able to attack as many times as they can, which allows them to kind of reset their own skills, because they keep on getting extra attacks, so their cooldown gets lower. Okay, and then the 2 units in the middle are eventually, Arya is spec'd for Despair Focus, but I will also get Lucian on a Despair set as well. And why would I want to do that? Because he has 2 AoE base, or he has 2 AoE damages, AoE attacks, and one of the 2 already have a little bit of control effect in him. So why is this beneficial? Why does this team have synergy? Because the speed leader, in addition to 2 speed-based, stun-based units, will allow me to get the lead and get an opportunity to control the flow of the units early on, and as well as Lucian with his last attack that ignores defense, get a little bit of damage on the side. When they're all damaged, to about 30-50% of their life, Roke cleans them up by killing them one at a time, because he gets additional turns based off, if he kills them. If he doesn't kill them, because he is violent spec'd, he gets an opportunity to attack again, and if he kills him again, then his regular passive triggers, that gives him an additional turn. So violent spec'd fire Inugamis are one of the strongest, in my opinion, units that you get that is farmable. So you might be winning an arena defense really easy, but then you find yourself a violent spec rogue, and he might be a game changer for the defense as far as turning the tables around and killing 2 units without even blink, before a blink of an eye. It's just crazy. So why will I think this will work really good when I got everybody's runes perfect? Because the 2 AoE based attacks. Can I look at his skills? Okay, I can. But the 2 AoE based attacks are going to be sitting anywhere, when they're maxed out, they're going to be sitting anywhere from 3 to 5 turns. In addition to that, they're going to be reduced a little bit more because of Jameer's ability to reset the cooldowns. So between the 2 people in the middle, that's going to be a lot of AoE control based damage as well as control, like I stated. And then, of course, in addition to it, you got Rogue to kind of clean up the mess. his slot probably could be, replaced by somebody else. But right now, this is what I'm gonna be trying to run and playing around with it. Okay, so well, why don't you have Megan in there? Megan with your speed leader will get the attack age, addition, and because she has speed, and you'll get everyone to attack. Well, as we all know, um, the the arena defense is AI. So because of the fact that it's AI, we don't have the opportunity to try to control which attack they're going to use. Okay, so having two units that are spec'd despair, at least with those two, and they have a lot of speed, they still, um, regardless of what attack they utilize, they still are going to be trying to do the job that they're meant to do, which is control the unit with the despair, regardless of what attack. Whereas my particular Megan, her only goal is to basically get the buff off on the first turn, because if we get it off, it's great, but if we don't, we're in trouble. That's why it's a big if. Whereas if I go with the um, a sure thing of bringing in the spare units, I can have the opportunity or the chance to stun, but I don't lose that opportunity because of myself. Utilizing a different skill. So to be every attack has an opportunity to stun, whereas in Mega situation, I only have one particular skill that gives me an enhanced opportunity to do what I want, versus all three skills of Lucian or Arya have the ability to, do what I'm trying to make him do. So, the downside to this, by utilizing a speed leader without a buffer like Megan, I have to spec everybody with extra speed if I want them to get the enhanced effect of the speed leader. If I don't, I can basically spec Megan to have as much speed as possible, and then when she goes, she gives everybody the lead, which allows me to take the edge. That being said, you'll still see it every once in a while where you have a Megan, you put the speed buff on, you get the attack gauge going, but the other team still gets a couple attacks. If that's the case, they just have some nasty amount of speed, 200 plus speed. They are doing it big, so that's just something that you have to work towards too. All right, so um, I think I will go ahead and stop there. Again, unfortunately, being a free to play player, I don't have a lot of mixes of teams that I can show you, but I think you get the general concept here. Set up a team with synergy, stay away from the mono element teams, stay away from leaders with a mono element skill, because again, they only benefit teams that are mono element, and because you're not trying to focus on mono element teams, those are not going to be beneficial. If you have, if your only choices is a unit that has a buff that increases win units, hit points by 50% or something like that, then utilize it. Because if Jameer increased win units hit points by 50%, then Rambagos would be a great unit to have in there because it enhances this effect. But that's one unit out of three possible units that it can be enhancing. That's why I say don't utilize mono element teams, because they may benefit your three units that are of the same element, but versus your opponents, they are always going to have the elemental advantage over you, because they will always bring units that are stronger against your units. Okay? All right. So I think I just banged your head with way too much knowledge. Between all four videos, I'm assuming this is going to be roughly about an hour to an hour and a half of material. I apologize for taking so much time, but I hope that I explained everything as good as I can, and I tried to do it in the best of my ability. Again, I still think this is more kind of a middle stage game. The end game, a lot of my rules will get thrown out the window because of the strength of your units, and you guys will realize soon enough, if you haven't already, a lot of rules get thrown out the door when you are sitting with 6-star plus 15 runes all around. There's just so much you can do with these units When you get the good runes on them, there's not too much else that matters. It just comes down to um, what kind of quality your units are versus the quality of the other units are, and see what you can do. So I will go ahead and end the video there. I believe this completes this particular series for the critical thinking 4-part series. Wow, what a ride. I'm so glad that I got it done. I think I'm gonna head to bed now. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but I normally go to bed at 10. It's about uh, 2 in the morning, more or less. So um, you guys get some rest. I'm going to get some rest. Take care, and thanks again for supporting me and watching me. If you did find this beneficial in any way, please share this with your friends. Please get the word out there because, in my opinion, there's really not a lot of good quality arena introduction or team talk or whatnot. And I think this is one of those topics that needs to be getting out and discussed. If there is stuff that you feel is inaccurate about my information, please put it down. I would love to talk about it and even make note of it in my video. If something were to change or if something were to be brought up to my attention that might have been wrong that I stated, that's okay. The end goal is to give the community the best information we can. That's what I'm here to do. That's why I make these videos. I'm a get at you later. All right? You take care, and we'll see you next time.